What if I told you? The very person who tried to destroy you is now being silently dismantled by God himself piece by piece, and you don't even have to watch it happen while you were crying in secret. Heaven was building a case while they laughed behind your back. God was drafting their judgment, and now without warning, the gavel is coming down. They thought they broke you. They thought walking away without apology meant they got away with it. But what they never saw coming was that your silence became your weapon, and your surrender gave God full permission to step in and do what no human revenge ever could. This isn't vengeance, it's divine justice, executed with precision. If your spirit is already shaking because you know this word is for you, type 777" the comments as a bold prophetic sign that you're letting heaven handle it. And to every chosen one who's been pouring back into this space through Super, thanks, I see you. I honor you, and I thank you. Your support is building a prophetic altar of truth, healing, and supernatural clarity. Now listen closely, because what God is doing to the one who hurt you isn't petty, it's prophetic punishment. And in just a moment, I'll reveal exactly how this divine turnaround is already unfolding behind the veil. He's not ignoring what happened to you, he's making it echo. Are you ready to see what happens when God fights back? God's chosen one. You don't need revenge. God is already doing this to the one who hurt you. There's a divine law written not just on tablets of stone, but etched into the very fabric of the universe. What you sow, you will surely reap. And chosen one, the reaping has begun. Those who harmed you didn't just offend your name, they collided with a system of justice designed by heaven itself. It may have looked like they got away with it. It may have felt like silence echoed louder than vindication. But beneath that silence, the court of heaven has already issued a verdict. Their actions sent frequencies into the spiritual realm. And now, a righteous wave of consequences is returning to them with calculated precision. The Bible speaks this truth clearly in Galatians 6-7. Do not be deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap. There are no escape clauses in spiritual law. No matter how loud their lies, no matter how bold their manipulation, the harvest always comes. Sometimes it arrives quietly, sometimes violently, but it always arrives. But here's the question that stops people in their tracks. What if the delay you're seeing is not denial, but preparation for a public reversal so exact it silences every lie spoken against you? Imagine God not just dealing with your enemies privately, but making their exposure part of your elevation. Psalm 23:5 confirms this divine principle. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. God doesn't just bless you, he stages your breakthrough in the presence of those who thought you were broken. Take the example of Amanda Gorman, the young poet who rose to international fame after her stirring poem at the 2021 U.S. Presidential Inauguration. At one point, she was followed and harassed by a security guard who claimed she didn't look like she lived in her own building. Instead of retaliating, Amanda responded with grace, tweeting, "This is the reality of black girls. One day you're called an icon. The next day, a threat. That day, the world saw her dignity." And her story became a spotlight on racial profiling. The one who tried to diminish her only amplified her influence. That's what happens when God flips the script. But what about those who tried to rise by stepping on others only to fall harder than anyone imagined? Carlos Ghosn, the former CEO of Nissan, once celebrated as a corporate savior, he was hailed for transforming failing companies into profit machines, but behind the scenes, he allegedly manipulated financial reports, dodged taxes, and orchestrated deception at the highest levels. His fall was cinematic, arrested in Japan, smuggled out in a musical instrument case, now living in exile and disgrace. The higher he climbed without integrity, the harder he fell under judgment. Even empires collapse when their foundation is deceit. God is not mocked, and his justice is never late. It's layered. Romans 12:19 echoes this with a thunderous truth. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God. For it is written, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay," says the Lord. You don't need revenge when you walk in alignment. Divine retaliation is far more accurate than emotional reaction. And here's another question that may resonate deep within you. What if the very pain they caused you is the portal God used to unlock your elevation? Remember Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, imprisoned, yet in Genesis 50:20, he declares, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." What they meant to destroy you actually positioned you. You are walking proof that pain does not have the final say, purpose does. So when betrayal shows up dressed in charisma, and opposition arrives through familiar faces, don't lose your peace. You are not defenseless, you are divinely surrounded. Isaiah 54:17 is not just poetic, it's prophetic. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. Their schemes may have formed, but they will not flourish, because the blessing on your life has already sentenced their plans to failure. And here's one last truth that many ignore. What if heaven is using your restraint as the courtroom evidence that proves your spiritual maturity and exposes their immaturity? Sometimes, the loudest verdict is the one where you say nothing, when you choose silence over scandal, obedience over outrage. Heaven records it, and hell recoils. Chosen one. Don't waste your energy plotting revenge. Heaven is already executing justice on your behalf. What was whispered about you in secret is being countered by divine thunder. Rise, keep your hands clean and your focus forward. Your vindication will speak louder than their betrayal ever did. And when the smoke clears, you won't just survive, you'll shine. Get ready to walk into rooms their lies tried to lock you out of. Your rise is already in motion. Focus on you, not in selfishness, but in sacred alignment. You've been summoned into a divine process that doesn't just grow you. It reveals you. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are becoming. This isn't random. This is a holy recalibration. Your path has been personally tailored by the Creator to strip away illusion, silence noise, and awaken the deep fire within. What you're carrying is not ordinary, it is encoded with divine frequency. But here's the question that stops many in their tracks. Why is it that the closer you get to clarity, the louder the distractions seem to get? That's no coincidence. The warfare intensifies as your perception sharpens. The resistance rises when your roots go deeper. Hebrews 12:1 reminds us, "Let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." The distractions aren't random. They're specifically designed to drain your focus, to slow your forward momentum. But your mission is too sacred to be interrupted. You're not just moving forward, you're moving upward. like the spiral growth of a sunflower that twists toward light, regardless of how many clouds pass by. In nature, we see this pattern called heliotropism, where even young plants bend persistently toward the sun. Your spirit is doing the same, and while others may bend toward drama or shadows, you're leaning into illumination. That's why you feel different, because you are. Psalm 37:23 declares, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way." Each obstacle isn't meant to break you, it's permission to rise. Even your failures, even your missteps, were woven into a divine syllabus designed to strengthen your spiritual muscle and elevate your discernment. Just like how volcanic ash enriches the soil after a fiery eruption, what once burned, you may actually become the foundation of your bloom. And now you're beginning to see it, aren't you? That every painful moment was part of your preparation, not your punishment. The very things that seemed like setbacks were actually secret upgrades. James 1:2-4 instructs us to consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. You are being sculpted into someone who can carry weight without collapse, truth without trembling, and fire without fear. And here's another soul-stirring question. Could it be that your reaction to adversity is the very evidence heaven uses to determine your readiness for greater influence? Imagine if each time you resisted retaliation, refused to engage the petty, and chose peace over performance. Heaven recorded that moment as proof of your maturity. That's why your restraint is sacred. It is not weakness, it's wisdom. One of the most haunting lines from the French Christian film Of Gods and Men, Des Hommes et des Dieux, whispers this truth. I was not afraid of death. I was afraid of what would die in me before death. This echoes the cry of many chosen ones. What if the real tragedy is not the loss, but what you allow to harden in you because of it? But not you. You're choosing peace. You're choosing elevation. You're choosing to stay soft in a world that's tried to make you bitter. Isaiah 26:3 promises this. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. And that's what you're doing, walking with a mind stayed on God, with eyes fixed on destiny. Every distraction is losing its grip. Every delay is becoming divine training. And every hardship is shaping you into a force darkness can't touch. The eagle knows when to stop flapping and start soaring. It senses the shift in wind patterns and locks its wings. You, chosen one, are in that phase. No more striving to prove, no more reacting to noise. You're rising with stillness, held up not by effort, but by divine wind. Now is the time to walk with sacred confidence. Don't shrink back. Don't descend to the chaos that tried to pull you out of purpose. Stay aligned, stay sharp, and stay in motion. You are not just surviving, you are ascending. You are on a mission to make the unseen visible, the broken healed, and the impossible real. Rise now, because what's ahead needs the healed, focused version of you. Do you ever feel like unseen forces are working overtime just to pull you down, as if the brighter your spirit shines, the darker the shadows around you become? This isn't your imagination. For those carrying divine purpose, your spiritual light doesn't just illuminate your path, it exposes the darkness in others. And that exposure often provokes resistance. John 1:5 says, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." But make no mistake, darkness will try. It's a tragic irony. Those with the clearest intentions, the most vibrant dreams, and the most humble hearts often become magnets for opposition, not because of who they harmed, but because of who they are becoming. It begs a deeper question. Could your spiritual acceleration be the very thing agitating environments that were built to remain stagnant? And if so, what does that say about your assignment? In spiritual warfare, there's a lesser discussed frequency clash, a kind of vibrational dissonance. From a quantum field theory perspective, energy doesn't lie. When a high-frequency soul enters a low-frequency space, it causes an imbalance, a ripple. That's why spiritual people often experience tension in rooms that appear calm. Your presence disrupts entropy. Your energy rebukes decay. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." Sometimes the battle isn't loud, it's energetic. It's not about what's said, but what's felt. And the Jezebel spirit, in particular, operates subtly. Disguised in familiarity, it often doesn't come through strangers, but through those with proximity, co-workers, relatives, or long-time acquaintances who feel threatened by the authority you carry. Even if you've never spoken a word, in psychological terms, this is often referred to as narcissistic supply disruption. When someone who feeds off control or attention encounters someone who thrives independently, they lash out not because of what you've done, but because of what you mirror. You remind them of the freedom they refuse to claim, and thus hostility erupts not from your actions, but from your very existence. The Bible gives us a sobering parallel in 1 Kings 19, where Jezebel sent a death threat to Elijah, not after he failed, but after he succeeded. After calling down fire from heaven and proving God's power, Elijah should have been celebrated. Instead, he was hunted. Why? Because true power, when unveiled, triggers fear. In counterfight systems, your success in the spirit will often provoke war in the natural world. In your workplace, where professionalism should reign, you may notice resistance for simply being consistent. Even in your home, where love should dwell, there may be silent attacks on your peace. Matthew 10:36 foretells it plainly. A man's enemies will be the members of his own household, not because you're cursed, but because you're called, and your calling disrupts everything around you that refuses to evolve. The case of Sophie Scholl, a young German university student and member of the White Rose resistance movement during the Nazi regime. She wasn't armed with weapons, only truth, courage, and leaflets exposing the horrors of fascism. Arrested for distributing anti-Nazi literature, she faced trial and execution at just 21 years old. Yet in her final moments, she stood unwavering, declaring, "Such a fine, sunny day, and I have to go. But what does my death matter? If through us, thousands of people are awakened and stirred to action." The regime silenced her voice, but they could not kill her conviction. Her quiet defiance became immortal. What she whispered in secret is now echoed across generations. Her stillness did what shouting never could. It planted seeds of awakening in a time of mass blindness. Which brings us to a deeper question. Could your current warfare be a sign not of failure, but of heaven's trust in your resilience? If you weren't equipped to handle it, you wouldn't be facing it. Heaven doesn't waste trials on the unprepared. You were built to carry this weight. You were chosen to carry this light. You are not under attack because you're weak. You are targeted because you are rising. But no matter how fierce the resistance, no spirit, no whisper, no plot can extinguish what God has ignited in you. Rise above the noise. Walk in your authority. Remain anchored in your assignment. Because what's on you is bigger than what's against you. And the very resistance you feel now is proof you're walking in power. There's a force that doesn't just dislike your light, it actively seeks to dim it. This force, ancient and persistent, specializes in discouragement. It whispers in the quiet hours. It surrounds you with chaos, hoping you'll forget who you are. But here's the divine reversal. The pressure you're under isn't proof of your failure, it's evidence of your calling. The very attacks you face are a confirmation that you're disrupting something dark with something divine. Isaiah 41:10 assures us, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God." You're not walking into battle alone. You're surrounded, not by enemies, but by angels. You're shielded by something. No curse, no lie, no betrayal can penetrate. That's why you're still standing, even when it looked like everything around you was falling apart. But ask yourself this: could it be that your resistance is a sign of divine recognition, that heaven sees you as strong enough to handle what would have broken someone else? Spiritual warfare doesn't show up when you're off track, it shows up when you're getting close. The closer you move toward alignment, the more intense the interference. It can come from familiar places, in forms that once felt safe: relationships, careers, even old versions of yourself. But don't be fooled. Psalm 34:19 says, "Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all." Not some of them, all of them. There comes a sacred moment when you decide to walk away from what's hurting you, not out of anger but clarity. When you step out of the job that constantly drains you, when you leave the relationship that confuses your spirit, when you finally say no to the cycles that delayed your growth, something supernatural happens. You're not just making room, you're declaring to the universe that you are ready to rise. And in doing so, you become a target, but also a threat. We see this mirrored in the story of Jesus in Matthew 4, just after his baptism, before any miracle, before the crowd, before the cross came the temptation. Satan didn't attack Jesus in weakness, but right after heaven declared him beloved. Why? Because identity always draws interference. But Jesus didn't waver. He resisted. And because he did, the enemy fled. That same tension plays out in the modern world. A powerful example is Erin Gruwell, the American teacher and author who transformed the lives of inner-city students in Long Beach by believing in their potential when no one else did. Her unorthodox teaching style met enormous resistance from her superiors, and she was nearly fired for refusing to lower expectations. Yet her perseverance birthed the Freedom Writers, a group of students who overcame racism, violence, and poverty, and became published authors. Erin didn't run from the pressure. She walked through it and turned resistance into revolution. But not everyone facing moral tension chooses the path of righteousness. One cautionary example is Carlos Menem, the former president of Argentina, introduced as a charismatic reformer. Menem promised hope and recovery during a time of national crisis. But beneath his charm lay corruption, including illegal arms deals, bribery, and suppression of truth. Years later, he was convicted, disgraced, and sentenced, his legacy permanently tainted. His desire for unchecked power drowned out the voice of conscience, and what began as a promise ended in public ruin. That's why this moment you're in matters so much. Could the discomfort you're feeling be the final push before your breakthrough? Could this very season of rejection, of loss, of conflict be God's way of pruning you for greater capacity? John 15:2 says, "Every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit." The separation you chose wasn't abandonment, it was alignment. So when you choose to walk away from what dishonors your calling, you're not running, you're returning. Returning to your identity. Returning to the path God marked out for you before the foundation of the world. Romans 8:28 assures us, all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to His purpose. Evan, you were never called to shrink. You were called to shake systems. Every attack you've survived was proof of your endurance. And every step forward is a declaration that you are still chosen. Now, rise boldly, fully, and without apology. The attacks didn't break you, they confirmed you. What you've walked away from is nothing compared to what heaven is walking you into. It can be one of the most painful awakenings, the moment you realize that not everyone who walked with you was walking for you. Their words may have sounded supportive, their smiles may have seemed genuine, but the energy beneath it told a different story. And the hardest part, these aren't always strangers. Sometimes it's the people you once trusted, prayed with, or even defended. Psalm 41:9 captures this grief perfectly. Even my close friend, someone I trusted, one who shared my bread, has turned against me. But even in that betrayal, a gift is hidden. When you see the truth of someone's spirit, especially when it contradicts what you hoped for, you are not losing peace, you are gaining clarity. It begs the question, could your current heartbreak be heaven's way of freeing you from false alliances that would have fractured your future? It's not just a loss, it's a divine filter. In nature, we find a similar pattern in the life of a caribou. During migration, a caribou herd will shed weaker members who can't handle the changing terrain. It's not cruelty, it's survival. The ones who cannot adapt to the elevation shift simply cannot go the distance. And so too in your life. Elevation will always provoke separation. As your purpose sharpens, your circle will shift. This is what the spiritual path requires, not just faith in God, but faith in His process of revealing. These revelations may feel brutal, especially when they come from people you once called family, but they are sacred. Romans 16:17 warns us, watch out for those who cause divisions and put obstacles in your way that are contrary to the teaching you have learned. Keep away from them. Sometimes, walking away isn't bitterness, it's obedience. Here's another question to reflect on. What if their betrayal is the confirmation that you've outgrown the version of you they were comfortable with? The moment you stopped playing small, you became a mirror they couldn't handle. Their discomfort isn't your condemnation, it's their conviction. You've become a walking contradiction to the roles they expected you to stay in. Jesus faced this disillusionment in John 6. After performing miracles and teaching truth, many of His followers turned away, saying, "This is a hard teaching. Who can accept it?" And just like that, they walked. Not because He failed, but because He was too real for their religion. His light made them choose. And this brings us to a tender, soul-stirring truth. Could your isolation be your invitation into alignment? Because when people leave, truth enters. When facades fall, foundation forms. When fake voices fade, God's voice becomes thunderously clear. This very theme is explored in the Italian Christian film Il Vangelo secondo Matteo, The Gospel according to Matthew, 1964, by Pier Paolo Pasolini. In one powerful scene, Jesus turns to His disciples and says, "Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me." The scene lingers on the faces of those struggling to let go. The cost of truth is often personal, but so is its reward. Proverbs 13:20 says, "Walk with the wise and become wise." For a companion of fools suffers harm, as painful as it is. Separation is sometimes salvation. When God removes people from your life, He is also removing the blockages to your next breakthrough. Like a tree shedding dead branches in spring, your soul is making room for a richer harvest. There is no shame in pruning. John 15:2 says, He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit. This isn't rejection. It's refined. It's not the end. It's alignment. So rise up, not bitter, but better. Let the scales fall from your eyes. Let the false voices fade. What you've just lost cannot compare to what you're about to gain. The people who walked away were never your foundation. God is. And those who remain, they are the ones destined to walk with you through the next glory. This clarity is not your curse. It's your crown. Now rise into it. There is an unspoken law woven into the very code of creation. Everything eventually returns to balance. Every word spoken in deception, every act rooted in malice, every betrayal done in silence, none of it escapes divine accounting. But while the world shouts for revenge, heaven whispers something higher: release. Not because you're weak, but because you're aligned with something far more powerful than retaliation. Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. The ones who wounded you will meet their own mirror in due time. That's not your burden to carry. Your task is to release and rise. What if the heaviness you feel isn't from what was done to you, but from what you haven't yet released? Carrying old bitterness is like trying to walk across a glass bridge with bricks in your backpack. Every step becomes harder, not because the path is fragile, but because you're overloaded. The emotional physics of resentment is simple. It weighs more than you think, and it distorts your ability to perceive the blessings already in front of you. When you choose to let go, something miraculous happens. Not only do you lighten emotionally, but spiritually, you become more buoyant. Isaiah 43:18-19 echoes this. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Release creates room. Forgiveness frees frequency. Joy begins to return. Not because circumstances shift, but because your soul is no longer chained to what was. This concept has been explored in frequency resonance theory, a branch of quantum science that shows how certain frequencies repel or attract depending on what they're exposed to. Emotion functions the same way. When you hold on to negativity, your frequency repels newness. But when you recalibrate through gratitude, forgiveness, faith, you attract environments, people, and encounters that are aligned with your peace. Philippians 4:8 instructs us clearly, whatever is true, whatever is noble, think on these things. Could the reason you're still stuck in that old cycle be because your heart is still tethered to people God already removed from your equation? The math of spiritual alignment is precise. Addition can't happen until subtraction completes. Holding on to old ties blocks what was meant to arrive next. A powerful example comes from the life of Shirin Ebadi, the first female judge in Iran and a Nobel Peace Prize winner. After the Islamic Revolution, she was demoted, silenced, and targeted, but she refused to become bitter. Instead of seeking revenge, she turned her attention to human rights, eventually establishing groundbreaking legal reforms under impossible conditions. Her resilience wasn't loud, it was lawful. She once said, "The rights of women and children are the cornerstone of peace," and through her peace, she shifted policy. The same principle is reflected in Romans 12:21. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. The higher you climb spiritually, the more silent your warfare becomes. You begin to realize that letting go isn't passive, it's prophetic. It's not about forgetting what happened, it's about refusing to be controlled by it. In architecture, there's a term called tensile integrity, used to describe structures that hold tension in perfect balance, using both push and pull forces to remain stable. That's what your soul is doing now. God is building in you an inner architecture where joy and pain, past and promise, are not fighting each other but supporting you simultaneously. It's not the absence of pressure that makes you strong, it's your ability to stay centered in it. What would your life feel like if your spirit finally matched the freedom God has already released over your future? You don't have to stay in bondage to what tried to break you. You are not defined by the hands that dropped you, but by the one who still carries you. Psalm 30:5 promises this: "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." Morning isn't a time, it's a decision. The moment you release what was, you step into what is. Now is your moment. The chains of bitterness have no legal claim over your next chapter. You've mourned, you've wrestled, you've endured, but now it's time to rise. Release the dead weight. Walk forward in lightness. Let joy return, not as a feeling, but as a frequency, because when your spirit is free, your future is unstoppable. Change is holy, but it often feels lonely. When you begin shifting your life, healing from what broke you, or daring to dream bigger than your surroundings, don't be surprised if the very people closest to you respond with silence, sarcasm, or suspicion. Sometimes the absence of applause is not about your failure, but about their fear of losing the version of you that made them comfortable. Luke 4:24 reminds us, "Truly I tell you," Jesus continued, "no prophet is accepted in his hometown. Even the Son of God faced rejection from those who knew his name, but not his purpose." And yet, there's a strange beauty in divine alignment. The support you longed for from the familiar may arrive through the unexpected. A stranger's comment, a distant friend's message, a quiet supporter in the crowd. Have you ever wondered why encouragement often comes from those who owe you nothing and silence from those who should cheer the loudest? It's because spiritual promotion exposes spiritual posture. Some people were never clapping for you. They were clapping for the version of you that didn't make them question their own comfort. In such moments, you are called to choose obedience over validation. Letting go of outdated expectations is part of embracing the mission ahead. 2 Corinthians 5:17 declares, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone. The new is here." When you release the old, you are not betraying your past, you are honoring your future. An inspiring real-life example of this is Zanele Muholi, a South African visual activist and photographer whose deeply vulnerable portraits document the lives of Black LGBTQ+ individuals, initially dismissed by critics and even shunned by parts of her own community. Muholi didn't wait for validation. She kept creating. Over time, her voice didn't just echo through galleries. It reshaped how society viewed both art and activism. She once said, "I want to rewrite a Black, queer and transvisual history of South Africa for the world to know of our existence." What began as resistance became redefinition. But not everyone rises from opposition with grace. For contrast, look at Samuel Bankman-Fried, once hailed as the cryptocurrency prodigy and founder of FTX, praised as a visionary and even called the next Warren Buffett. SBF presented an image of altruism and innovation, but behind the scenes, Reckless mismanagement and deception brought his empire crashing down. Billions vanished. Trust collapsed. And now he faces multiple federal charges. His downfall is a reminder: charisma without integrity will always implode. What if the hostility you're experiencing is not a sign of failure, but a signal that you're being positioned for something greater than what your current circle can handle? Not every critic is your enemy, but not every friend is your ally either. Proverbs 18:24 warns, "A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." So how do you respond when you feel unsupported? You move anyway. You bless anyway. You build anyway. The enemy's most common strategy is to discourage you just before you reach the breakthrough. But Galatians 6-9 tells us, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." The shadows can't stop the sunrise. Even the whispers can't silence your purpose. Keep going. Not because it's easy, but because it's ordained. Don't let their silence stop your sound. Don't let their doubt dim your fire. You weren't chosen to be understood by everyone. You were chosen to be faithful. Walk boldly. Speak truthfully. Love fiercely. And move forward with the certainty that what God started in you, no hostility can halt. This isn't the end, it's unfolding. When others set traps for you in the shadows, their real hope isn't just to watch you fall, it's to provoke a reaction. They want to break your character so they can confirm their assumptions. But the one who knows their purpose doesn't need to perform. The most disruptive response is often no response at all. Proverbs 29:11 says, "A fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back." Your silence, when it's rooted in discernment, becomes a spiritual weapon sharper than any word you could throw back. It's strange how spiritual warfare often hides in professional spaces, behind casual meetings, boardroom smiles, or emails laced with passive aggression. The modern workplace isn't always about merit. Many times it's a disguised arena of jealousy, insecurity, and quiet sabotage. But here's a question worth reflecting on. What if the attack you're experiencing at work isn't about your position, but about your presence? What if your integrity exposes the mediocrity that others have grown comfortable masking? The same thing happened to Daniel in the Old Testament. In Daniel 6, the administrators and satraps couldn't find any fault in him, so they created one. They manipulated the system to trap him in his faith, knowing his loyalty to God wouldn't bend. And yet, despite their schemes, Daniel's favor with God turned their trap into his testimony. The lions didn't devour him, they devoured the ones who tried to destroy him. There is something deeply strategic about choosing peace in the face of provocation. It requires strength, not weakness. Isaiah 30:15 says, "In quietness and trust shall be your strength." And that's precisely where you disarm the ones sent to rattle you. When you refuse to descend into their drama, you frustrate their agenda. You force them to reveal their character by not sacrificing your own. Nature teaches us this same principle through the poison dart frog. Despite its small size and bright color, it doesn't need to chase, bark, or growl. Its mere presence, silently and confidently carried, warns predators, "Don't try it." The warning isn't loud. It's lethal in its stillness. So it is with you. Your light doesn't need defense. It carries divine consequence. And yet, many wonder, why doesn't God just remove the hostile people immediately? But the truth is, sometimes He lets them build their own trap long enough to fall in it themselves. Psalm 7:15-16 confirms this. "He who digs a hole and scoops it out falls into the pit he has made. The trouble he causes recoils on himself. And a line from the 1986 Polish Christian film Przyjaciel Wesołego Diabła, The Cheerful Devil's Friend, echoes this idea. He who dances with shadows will eventually forget how to stand in the light. The ones orchestrating your downfall are exhausting themselves, not you. And the longer you stay in peace, the more clearly their own actions unravel. Romans 8:31 reminds us, if God is for us, who can be against us? You are not walking through your challenges unguarded. Heaven sees, heaven intervenes, heaven keeps the record. What if the very battle they initiated becomes the stage God uses to elevate you beyond what you even imagined? What if the trap was just the setup for your promotion? You don't have to fight dirty when you're walking with clean hands. Keep your posture. Keep your peace. Keep showing up on purpose. Your stillness is sacred. Your dignity is disruptive. And your silence, it is thunder in the realm of the spirit. Let God handle what your words can't, because you're not just surviving this, you're being set apart by it. Now rise. When negativity surrounds you like static in the atmosphere, your greatest weapon is focus. Not the kind of focus fueled by ego or competition, but the sacred kind that is anchored in identity. Psalm 1-3 reminds us of what happens when you stay rooted. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. Your purpose does not rely on the applause of others. It's not built on trending validation. It is sustained by divine design. Still, let's be honest. Have you ever found yourself wondering why you show up for others, but when you need help, the room empties? You're the one who stays late, who steps in when no one volunteers, who carries burdens, not your own. But the moment your soul requires support, silence greets you. That silence is not punishment, it is refinement. It is the pressure that produces power. In 2 Corinthians 12-9, the Apostle Paul testifies, "But he said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.'" Sometimes, God removes human support, so you will lean into divine supply. Sometimes, the absence of appreciation is the architecture of ascension. When applause goes silent, purpose grows loud. And here's a deeper question. Could it be that God has intentionally designed this difficult path to train your spiritual endurance? Not because he wants you to suffer, but because he is preparing you to sustain greater influence later. The pain has purpose. It's your proving ground. From a neuroscientific perspective, this is mirrored in the concept of neuroplastic adaptation. When exposed to sustained pressure, the brain develops more efficient pathways for resilience. In other words, consistent difficulty trains your mind to operate at higher strength with less emotional disruption. Likewise, your soul is being rewired to endure storms without losing clarity. The workplace, for many, becomes a testing arena, not because of the tasks, but because of the tension. And yet, when you resist the urge to mirror toxicity and instead continue to bring excellence, integrity, and truth, you don't just survive. You change the room. Romans 12:21 declares, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." What others send to break you only polishes your resilience. You may not be publicly celebrated now, but heaven has taken note. The times you held your tongue when you were provoked, the nights you carried the weight of injustice in silence, the mornings you showed up even when you felt invisible, these are sacred records. Isaiah 40:29 affirms this truth. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. That is your spiritual recompense, divine stamina. Every time you endure, you are forming the spiritual equivalent of gravitational resistance training. The more pressure, the stronger the core. Pope Tawadros II, the Coptic Orthodox Patriarch of Alexandria, once said during an address to persecuted Christians in Egypt, "Martyrs are not made by death, they are formed by conviction. Their blood only testifies to what they decided long before. It is not the visible opposition that defines a warrior, it is the quiet resolve underneath it. You have that. That's why you haven't quit, even when it would have been easier. What if the people making your journey harder are unknowingly building the very platform God will use to elevate you? What if their resistance is secretly reinforcing your authority?" Galatians 6:9 brings it all home. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. The harvest is not a fantasy, it is a law. Sowing through hardship guarantees supernatural reaping. Keep going. Not because it's fair, but because it's forming you. Your silence has power. Your consistency has weight. The reward is not just coming, it's already unfolding. The resistance you're experiencing is the confirmation of the greatness you carry. Let them underestimate. Let them misjudge. Because heaven is backing you, and no amount of shadow warfare can stop what's been stamped by glory. Rise now. This battle is shaping your legacy. Lift your head, not in pride, but in promise. These difficult moments you're enduring aren't here to break you. They're here to build you. What you're walking through is not just resistance, it's refinement. Isaiah 43:2 assures us, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you." These aren't ordinary challenges, they are divine preparations in disguise. You're headed somewhere sacred, a future untouched by the cynicism of those who tried to define you by your past. And here's a question worth asking in the quiet moments. What if your current storm is the final test before you arrive in the place that darkness cannot enter? Not everyone was meant to come with you. Some were only meant to reveal themselves so you could let go. While some try to cloud your clarity with resentment and jealousy, they won't be able to withstand the altitude of where you're headed. Their whispers will collapse under the weight of your elevation. Romans 8:31 reminds us, "If God is for us, who can be against us? Their plots may be loud, but they are powerless." Heaven has already ruled in your favor. An example of resilience in the face of dismissal is Tabitha Coffey, a renowned hairdresser, author, and businesswoman. Born in Australia, she faced early rejection and ridicule for her boldness and vision, yet she turned every no into a new door, eventually rising to become a global business coach and media personality. Her famous quote, "I don't do basic," wasn't just a brand, it was a declaration of how she refused to shrink. She is proof that resilience, when fueled by purpose, outlives rejection. But history also reminds us that not all who plot against others walk away unscathed. Dominique Strauss-Kahn, once a powerful figure as the head of the International Monetary Fund, was widely believed to be next in line for the French presidency, but his abuse of power and scandals led to a spectacular fall. From global influence to global disgrace, he became a cautionary tale about the consequences of sabotage and pride. Those who sow deception inevitably reap devastation. And now comes a sobering question. What if your enemies are unknowingly preparing your platform? The very ones who tried to slow you down may soon find themselves left behind watching as you step into the very position they tried to block. Deuteronomy 28:13 declares, "The Lord will make you the head and not the tail." You shall be above only, and not beneath. You are not beneath the attacks. You are above them. And that is why they're failing. Yes. The challenges you face at work, in life, even within yourself, are heavy. You've given more than most see. You've stayed when others left. You've led in silence. And yet, it can often feel like your efforts vanish unnoticed. But that invisibility is a spiritual disguise. Matthew Kusi, Nelia promises, your Father, who sees in secret, will reward you openly. What was once hidden will soon be honored. What if every betrayal was heaven's training ground to strengthen your leadership before others saw it? Every obstacle has been equipping you. Every sabotage attempt has sharpened your discernment. Every closed door has redirected you to something bigger. You are being formed for more than success. You're being shaped for legacy. Stand firm. Let them misunderstand you. Let them underestimate you. But don't let them stop you. You are not walking alone. You are walking covered. The fire they started around you will not burn you. It will forge you. And when it's done, you won't just walk out. You'll walk up. So arise now. This is your proving ground. And you are heaven's answer to the very warfare meant to silence you. In the midst of confusion, betrayal, and heaviness, there is a divine stillness that surrounds you, a quiet reminder that God is not distant. He is watching. He is tracking your steps, your silence, your tears, your triumphs, and his encouragement whispers louder than the chaos that tries to distract you. Psalm 121:8 reminds us, the Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. You are not walking alone. You are being covered by eternal eyes. Yet we live in a time where arguments spark faster than reflection, where reactions are mistaken for strength, and where negativity waits like a shadow at the door of every new morning. What if the true test isn't about how loudly you defend yourself, but how quietly you keep moving forward without losing your light? The chosen ones are not loud warriors. They are luminous ones, refusing to be dimmed by darkness. Choosing peace in today's world is a sacred rebellion. When negativity rises and your emotions are stirred, the spiritual temptation is to retaliate. But Romans 12:17 says, do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. You don't need to engage in every battle. Some fights are traps dressed up as justice. You've been chosen for a path that demands discipline, not distraction. There's power in knowing when to walk away from an argument that doesn't deserve your voice. Power in protecting your peace like a sacred altar. Have you noticed how much energy is lost when we chase the approval of people who never intended to understand us in the first place? Don't waste what's holy on what's hollow. Matthew 7:6 warns us clearly, do not give what is holy to the dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine. And this strength isn't rooted in arrogance, it's rooted in clarity. Clarity of identity, of calling, of worth. And that's where your mindset becomes your shield. Starting your day with positive intention is not a trend, it's a spiritual discipline. It's you declaring to the atmosphere, I know who I am, I know who holds my future, and I will not be moved. We see this truth mirrored in the natural world. Take the redwood tree, for example. Despite its towering height, its roots are surprisingly shallow. What keeps it standing through violent storms is the way its roots intertwine underground with other redwoods. They support each other in hidden silence. That's how the chosen endure, not because they are loud, but because they are deeply connected to something higher and unseen. Cinema has captured this quiet strength. In the 2010 Italian spiritual drama La Pecora Nera, The Black Sheep, The protagonist misunderstood, mocked, and dismissed says in one powerful moment, "They think I'm broken because I don't scream, but I'm just walking towards something they can't see yet." That is your energy. Quiet, focused, anointed. Could the inner warfare you're fighting be the final resistance before you break into unshakable peace? Not because the chaos will disappear, but because your inner world will no longer answer its call. Isaiah 26:3 promises this: "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you." Your steadfastness is your sanctuary. And that's why toxic voices will begin to lose their power, not because they've gone quiet, but because you no longer respond. Those who have wronged you, dismissed your worth, or mocked your progress, they are no longer your assignment. Exodus 14:14 tells us, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Divine justice moves without announcement. While you heal, heaven handles what you've released. Now is the time to reclaim your energy. You were not called to fight small battles. You were called to carry great light. Start each day with focus. Walk each step with peace. And guard your spirit like treasure. Let God deal with the shadows. You rise in brilliance. You rise with clarity. And you rise untouched. Your inner strength is more than just emotional willpower. It is sacred architecture, designed by heaven to carry weight that others can't even perceive. And this strength, when protected and directed properly, doesn't just shield you, it guides you out of toxic cycles, away from shallow distractions, and toward a life not just of survival, but of divine fulfillment. Psalm 18:32 declares, "It is God who arms me with strength and keeps my way secure." That is your assurance. You are being held, not by emotions, but by purpose. But how many mornings have you awakened with intention only to have it hijacked by a text, a tone, or a conversation that pulled you out of alignment before the day even began? Could it be that the first 10 minutes of your morning are setting the tone for your entire spiritual frequency? In neuroscience, this is tied to prefrontal priming, the early activation of your brain's decision-making center. What you allow into your awareness first shapes everything that follows. Protect that gate. Guard that moment. It's not small, it's a spiritual strategy. Proverbs 4:23 tells us, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. That includes the small, seemingly insignificant intrusions, the sarcastic message, the draining call, the news alert dripping with fear. They aren't harmless. They're access points. When you remove these subtle saboteurs from your space, you are not being rude, you are being rooted. What would your week look like if you refused to start a single day in reaction mode and instead chose to respond from revelation? You are not obligated to allow chaos into your clarity. You have the authority to choose joy, to build mental boundaries, and to enforce peace. Romans 12:2 commands, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." That renewal is not a one-time event. It's a discipline, a mindset, a decision to reframe every toxic intrusion as a redirection back to what actually matters. In physics, the concept of signal interference explains how external noise disrupts the purity of transmission between two connected devices. Your spirit works the same way. When your internal signal is interfered with by negativity, especially early in the day, your connection to purpose gets fuzzy. That's why spiritual clarity requires environmental pruning. A powerful real-life example of this comes from Martine Rothblatt, the founder of SiriusXM and biotech visionary. As a transgender woman, entrepreneur, and mother. Martine built billion-dollar systems while navigating tremendous social resistance. In her book, Virtually Human, she wrote, "I learned early that the best way to shape your world is to remove what tries to reshape you." Her clarity came from choosing focus over friction. And today, her innovations in satellite radio and biotech have saved and inspired lives across the world. Isaiah 26:3 affirms, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you." Peace isn't the absence of noise, it's the mastery of inner stillness despite the noise. And that's what your mornings must become, a sanctuary, not a battlefield. What if the negativity you've been tolerating is not just delaying your joy, but blocking your next breakthrough? Let this be your permission to cleanse your space, to reclaim your mindset, and to disconnect from everything that doesn't match your assignment. Psalm 118:24 reminds us, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." But rejoicing isn't passive, it's protected. Start every day with intention, not invitation. You don't owe your energy to anyone who doesn't honor your presence. Your mornings matter, your mind matters, and your mission is too powerful to be polluted by passive intrusions. From today forward, start from stillness. Choose clarity over chaos. Delete what dims you. Bless what builds you. And walk in the peace that was purchased for you. This is not just another day, it's your divine moment. Rise and take authority over it. You don't have to walk this road alone. There is divine wisdom in seeking out people and environments that refill your spirit instead of draining it. When you surround yourself with supportive communities and engage in activities that bring peace, you are not indulging in escape, you are investing in your endurance. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 reminds us, "Two are better than one, if either of them falls down. One can help the other up." You weren't created to carry everything by yourself. Even resilience needs rest. What would change in your life if you stopped trying to be strong alone and instead chose to be strong together? Your strength doesn't diminish when shared, it multiplies. Encouragement isn't a luxury, it's spiritual oxygen. Your circle matters, and your atmosphere is sacred. That's why investing in a nurturing environment is not optional for the called, it is essential. Proverbs 17:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." The right people will speak life into you when you forget your voice. The right activities, whether it's walking in nature, journaling, worship, or simply resting, reconnect you with the frequency of heaven. These moments realign your focus, recalibrate your heart, and reignite your hope. Could it be that your constant exhaustion isn't from doing too much, but from pouring into places that were never meant to hold your anointing? The right community doesn't just make you feel good, it calls you higher. They remind you of who you are when the world tries to make you forget. A powerful real-life example is Jason Reynolds, a best-selling author and poet who was rejected by the traditional literary system for years because his stories didn't fit a mold. But instead of quitting, he found strength in youth communities, spoken word poetry, and grassroots gatherings. His words, once ignored, are now reshaping classrooms, reaching millions, and lifting young black voices. He said in an interview, "I write books because I know how it feels to be invisible, and I want kids to feel seen." That is the fruit of staying rooted in supportive soil. In contrast, Elizabeth Holmes, once hailed as a revolutionary tech genius and CEO of Theranos, presents a cautionary tale. She isolated herself in an echo chamber of ambition, silencing dissent and ignoring wisdom. What began as a dream to revolutionize healthcare became a deception that collapsed under federal indictment. The lie caught up to the image. She is now serving time, not just for fraud, but for refusing truth and rejecting accountability. Even brilliance cannot outrun consequence. You, on the other hand, are called to walk in truth. And truth needs fuel. That fuel is hope. And hope is sustained in environments where your light is not resented, but celebrated. Isaiah 40:31 declares, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles." This is the kind of strength that doesn't fade when trials increase. It is not a loud confidence, but a steady one, a confidence that refuses to give up, even when results aren't immediate. Have you ever wondered if your perseverance is the very testimony someone else is watching in silence? You're not just surviving for yourself. You are walking proof that struggle is not the end. Your consistency is a sermon. Your courage is contagious. Romans 5:3 tells us, suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. Every difficult season is forming something eternal within you. Your setbacks aren't delays, they are sacred pivots. What feels like a dead end may actually be a redirection into your next breakthrough. So rise, not just with strength, but with strategy. Stay close to those who water your soul. Speak to your days with bold intention. And if the path gets steep, don't question your calling, just realign your support. You are not behind. You are being built. And soon, the very areas of your struggle will become stages of your influence. Keep walking. Keep rising. The harvest is closer than you think. There are mornings when the weight of yesterday tries to follow you into the light of today. When you wake up with sorrow still sitting on your chest, it can feel like your spirit is trying to swim through concrete. But even in that struggle, there is grace. Lamentations 3:23 whispers a powerful truth. His mercies are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Every sunrise is heaven's declaration that your story is not over. And yet, how often do we hold on to disappointment as if it will one day transform into validation? What if clinging to yesterday's rejection is what's blinding you from seeing today's opportunity? The people who failed to see your worth didn't misjudge your value. They misjudged their own vision. Their blindness doesn't define your brilliance. There is a holy orchestration behind the scenes that most will never see. A divine intelligence that is protecting you from partnerships, paths, and people who would have sabotaged your growth. Psalm 91:11 assures us, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." You may not always feel it, but you are being covered. If you are in the midst of a spiritual awakening where your emotions are more sensitive, your discernment sharper, and your appetite for peace deeper, then know this: you are not going backward, you are evolving. And evolution often comes with loneliness before alignment. Can it be that your current discomfort is not punishment but preparation? That the discomfort is heaven dislodging you from what's too small for your calling? In the wild, the blue morpho butterfly, one of the largest in the world, must survive predators by using its wings not just for flight, but for camouflage. The outer brown of the wings hides it in the shadows, while the inside glows with iridescent blue. It only reveals its beauty mid-flight. Likewise, your full glory may only be visible once you stop hiding in survival mode and dare to fly forward. This idea is echoed in the 2017 French-Belgian Christian film L'Apparition, where a war reporter investigates a Marian apparition. In one profound moment, the young visionary says, "When everything in the world tries to distract me, it is silence that brings the truth back." In your spiritual journey, Noise is not your teacher. Stillness is. Silence is where justice is being formed. Faith doesn't always roar. Sometimes it simply stays still. Romans 8:28 proclaims, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him." Even the betrayal, even the heartbreak, even the silence, it's all being stitched into something redemptive. But that doesn't mean the pain isn't real. Sometimes the hardest part is resisting the temptation to spiral into extremes between hope and despair, confidence and self-doubt. Could it be that this season is not about choosing between extremes, but learning to stand in the balance? Strength isn't always aggressive. Sometimes it's gentle endurance. Isaiah 40:29 tells us, "He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak." That means your weakness is not a disqualification, it's an invitation. You don't have to fake strength to receive help. You just need to be real enough to admit you're growing through something, and as you grow, be mindful of your company. Not everyone deserves access to your evolving spirit. Negativity is contagious. Pessimism distorts perspective like a smudge on a window. It doesn't change the view. It only blocks your clarity. Surround yourself with people who fan your faith, not your fear. Proverbs 13:20 reminds us, "Walk with the wise and become wise. For a companion of fools suffers harm." Community is not just about comfort, it's about cultivation. Build with people who make you better, not bitter. You deserve to heal in environments that honor your process. So rise. Even if your voice trembles, even if your hands shake, rise anyway. Yesterday may have buried you in discouragement, but today is resurrection. Step forward in hope. Reject what tried to reduce you. Align with what builds you. Because where you're going doesn't require you to carry everything that broke you. It only requires that you keep walking. The breakthrough is not a myth. It's already in motion. There are sacred pauses in life, brief intermissions between chapters where the world quiets just enough for your spirit to whisper, "What do you truly want now?" This is one of those moments, a divine invitation not to escape, but to reflect. Psalm 46, Tio reminds us, "Be still and know that I am God." In that stillness, heaven hands you a mirror, not just to look at who you've been, but to glimpse who you're becoming. Reflection without movement, though, leads to stagnation. That's why this isn't just a time to think, it's a time to act. A time to learn a new skill. Try something you've never dared, or return to something you loved but abandoned. Could it be that the very joy you've been praying for is hidden inside the skill you've been too afraid to start? New hobbies are more than just distractions, they are doorways. Behind them often lies your next divine assignment. Ecclesiastes 11:6 says, "Sow your seed in the morning, and at evening let your hands not be idle. For you do not know which will succeed." Sometimes it's not about knowing the outcome, but planting in faith and trusting that one of those seeds will bloom in season. In physics, there's a concept known as potential energy, stored energy, waiting to be released. It's the boulder perched on a hill, the bow drawn before the arrow flies. Your waiting season has not been wasted. It has been building pressure, preparing you for release. And when the right opportunity comes, all that unseen preparation will convert into visible momentum. That's the silent architecture of heaven delays that are really designs. And here's another question that might stir something in you. What if your next breakthrough isn't waiting on clarity but on gratitude? We often think progress means more effort, but in the kingdom of God, gratitude is a multiplier. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 commands, "Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." Gratitude shifts the frequency of your spirit, allowing you to resonate with things your stress would never attract. From a psychological standpoint, attentional bias shows that the mind naturally focuses on what we train it to look for. When we consistently practice gratitude, we begin to see possibilities where we once saw threat. Doors we once ignored become visible. Patterns we once tolerated become unacceptable. Gratitude doesn't make life perfect. It makes our perception divine. One real-life example comes from Maya Penn, a young entrepreneur, animator, and environmental activist. She began her first company at age 8, selling eco-friendly fashion. Through her work, she discovered not just business, but purpose. Maya once said, "Gratitude turns what you have into enough, and then enough becomes more than you imagined." Her mindset of thankfulness and curiosity unlocked doors many adults spend decades trying to reach. James 1:17 affirms, "Every good and perfect gift is from above." That includes the small steps, the quiet mornings, the hobbies that seem insignificant. They are all divine brushstrokes on the canvas of your calling. The world is heavy with noise, cynicism, and fear, but your steady, hopeful posture is a protest against the chaos. Could it be that your simple commitment to remain positive in a cynical world is already changing the atmosphere around you? Proverbs 17:22 declares, "A cheerful heart is good medicine." When you live with light in your spirit, you don't just carry peace, you release it. There is a universal resonance that responds to hope, not false hope, but grounded, daily hope. When you commit to spreading love, striving for excellence, and honoring each day with presence, you align yourself with that divine current. So rise with gratitude in your bones and courage in your breath. Start again. Try again. Say yes to the new. Not because it's guaranteed, but because God is in it. This isn't just another season, it's your launching pad. Build from peace. Move with joy. Trust the process. And know this, heaven is not ignoring you. It is orchestrating your next moment. So, walk forward. Your time is not coming, it's already begun. Chosen one. If this message resonated with your soul, it's because something within you already knows. This isn't just inspiration, it's confirmation. You are not walking through these seasons alone. There is a divine hand guiding you, pruning what can't stay, and preparing you for what must come next. Every challenge, every redirection, every quiet morning of obedience is building a future that aligns with who you truly are in the spirit. This is your time to reclaim your peace, to protect your joy, and to walk forward, not in fear, but in full faith. The detours were divine, the delays were developmental, and what you thought was denial was actually deep preparation. Your resilience is not just noticed, it's sacred. If this message blessed you, I encourage you to like the video, share it with someone who needs this word, and comment below with what spoke to your spirit most today. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because we're building more than a following here. We're building a faith movement. To every supporter, whether you've sent a super thanks or simply stayed to the end, thank you. You are part of this spiritual assignment. Your presence matters. Your prayers matter. Your light matters. And as you go into the rest of your day or week, may you walk in unshakable peace, overflowing grace, and divine alignment. May clarity find you. May strength carry you. And may joy rise in you like a flood. You are covered. You are chosen. And you are just getting started. Blessings and breakthroughs are chasing you down. Don't stop now.